Welcome to Channel X TV, sponsored by Volo. Delighted to be here at hampers.com with Hannah Lear. So, welcome Hannah, how are you?
I'm good, thank you. Really nice to be here and chat about the business with you.
So, I know we've spoken before, Hannah, but for people that don't know hampers.com, just tell us a little bit about the business and what you do.
Yeah, no problem at all. So, hampers.com is obviously, it does what it says on the tin. We are a gift hamper business. We specialise in luxury food and drink and artisan products. And we like to especially source from British suppliers where possible and do a British first sourcing strategy. This is really important to us because we are really passionate about having a sustainable business and making sure that while we bring joy to gifting, we're also doing good and making positive change in the wider world as well. So our current turnover is roughly around £12 million a year, and we do different channels of sales, predominantly our D2C through our e-commerce site, which we sell to both business and individual customers. We also sell through Amazon, and we also have an offline D2B business as well, where we sell directly to large corporate clients and do personalised gifting for them.
So this is really interesting. I've got to be straight up front and let people know I've been given one of your hampers and it's absolutely gorgeous, especially the cheese at Christmas. But for those that don't know, what goes into making up a hamper? And you said you like to source sustainably and British, but how do you go about curating a hamper? Because obviously you can't just do the same thing every year. So are you constantly looking for new products, and where do you find them?
Yeah, so we like to look at lots of different avenues really. So we start with like consumer data. So what do people like to buy? What's on trend? What are kind of the new and upcoming products? We attend lots of food fairs, which is great for the product team.
Lots of testing.
Lots of testing, and it's great for us as well because we get lots of samples sent to us to taste, which is always wonderful. Not so good for the waistline. So we like to start with curating, like also about occasions. So what are people buying for? Obviously it's gifting, so is it a birthday gift? Is it a thank you gift? A retirement gift? So we try and think about what people would like to give. We also like to offer different pricing ranges as well, so whether it's a £30 thank you hamper or a birthday hamper to a £400 luxury gift, and we try and make sure that there's enough on our website that everyone can do and buy for whoever they want and whatever their needs are really. And then we also like to look at different like food categories, so we might do beer selections or wine selections, and we also like to curate the hampers not just with, well, let's put some beer with some stuff in a hamper. We also like to think about how things pair. So when you're talking about wines, what cheese pairs really nicely with those wines, what crackers go well with those cheese, and what chutneys then would match that cheese. So we do try and think about everything that goes in that hamper. And like I say, when we're also choosing the product, we also like to think about the recyclability of the components, the ethics of the hamper, and ethics of the component, and kind of just aligning suppliers with our own ethics and what we try and do in our supply chain as well.
So this must be a really difficult business because Christmas is your obvious massive peak. But you've got the D2C business, which I'm guessing historically you know what's coming. But I'm interested in the B2B side of your business where corporates are ordering hampers for gifting. What do you do if someone suddenly comes in and says, okay, I need 1,000 hampers? I mean, do you already cater for the stock to put in those hampers, or do you have to rush out and source more stock at the last minute? How does it work?
It will actually depend. It will very much depend. We do like to, I think the good thing about being a small business and an SME is you can be quite adaptable. And we do try and work with the B2B the B2B customers with their requirements, and it might be that, say for example, they wanted something urgently, we might have 1,000 hampers in stock, and as long as they weren't very specific about what they wanted, we could probably service that. But what we can do is if they've got a little longer on lead times, we can work with them directly to source products, work with what was good for their business and what their staff would want or what their clients would want. We would put something more bespoke together for them in a slightly longer lead time. And I think that's another great thing about working with British suppliers is that our lead times tend to be a little bit shorter. So we can work to try and get those in. And, we've got a great team downstairs who work hard for our customers to try and get them what they want.
So when you're talking lead times B2B, what is reasonable and what you class as really quick? I mean, are we talking weeks or months or 6 months?
I mean, if we had the stock in, it could be 2 days. But you know, we can probably turn around, you know, a decent bespoke order in about 4 weeks' time, really.
So it doesn't actually need that length, but there must be huge pressure at Christmas if that's when they decide they want hampers when you're already busy.
It does, yeah. And that's when we try and encourage people to really order early with us for B2B. We've already had inquiries now for Christmas 2025 from rather organised companies.
That is organised.
Yeah, that is very organised. I think we're still recovering from Christmas when we're getting Christmas inquiries in. So yeah, it's we do like try and encourage those sort of, especially if they want bespoke ones. We do try and encourage those early. If it's just our standard hampers, we're actually usually really flexible in getting those out a lot sooner as well.
Now, talking about sustainability, you've talked about sourcing products and minimising waste packaging there. But how sustainable is the business today? Where have you got to?
So we are currently at the state where we monitor and look at all of the carbon that we currently output into the world, really. So we look at offsetting all of our carbon to become carbon neutral. From 2022 to 2023, we actually reduced our carbon as well by 25%. So we measure all of the energy that we use to run the business. We look at all of the packaging we use, both that we've bought in and that we use then to package and sell on, and we offset all of that. Our biggest one is actually glass, interestingly enough, with all of the wine that we sell.
And chutney.
Yeah, wine and chutneys that we sell, so that's an interesting one. And then we also offset then all of the deliveries, so every customer that buys from us, we also offset that carbon that is taken from the delivery of that hamper to the customer as well, which is something that we're really proud of. So obviously carbon neutral is a big thing from the sustainable side. We also are in the middle of a B Corp accreditation as well. So for us, it's not just about the environmental side, it's also about how we work with the community and support the community locally. So we do a lot of stuff with any waste products we deliver to food banks. We also have like really good like volunteering policies within the staff, and we also make sure that we're a living wage employee as well. So locally, we're a real living wage employee, which is something we're really proud of as well.
Fantastic. I'm sure the employees appreciate that as well.
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
So before I let you go, the one thing I think all businesses could learn from you is how do you handle peak traffic? And can you give us an indication of just how much of your business happens in December?
Yeah.
And then how do you prepare for that? And what can other businesses learn who maybe have a peak but probably not quite as sharp a peak as you?
Yeah, for sure. So just to put into context, we sell roughly around 300,000 units a year. 200,000 of that, apologies, is in the last 2 months of the year that we dispatch.
So 2/3 of the business is in the last November, December.
Especially because everyone wants their hampers in December. It's usually the peak is actually there really in December.
So they might order November, but please can you deliver a week before Christmas?
So effectively we do have two very different businesses running from January to September and then October to December. And I say October to December because we have to up our staff by almost 200%, so we have an extra 70 staff that come on site. We pack all of our hampers in advance, and obviously this has so many challenges in terms of needing to make sure that we forecast early. There's a huge amount of stuff that we need to do in planning and preparation for peak, so understanding what the day-by-day trends are, what sales were on previous SKUs last year, looking at when things sold out, looking at macroeconomic influences on overall sales, what is the overall retail growth looking like. So we have to do a lot of planning up front because we have to kind of hedge our bets because we have to pack so early in advance to make sure that we sell everything. And then also we just have to make sure that we're, like I say, risk mitigating at all times, like working with like different partners, certainly with like carriers, and making sure that all of the slots are planned in with all of the carriers at peak, because again we have to manage the fact that we're maybe dispatching 400 today, we're dispatching 10,000 a day in December, so making sure that that's communicated to all our carriers to understand that it's a very different business. And
I think that's really interesting because the carriers are getting much tighter on forecasts and holding people. I mean, every this year they not only wanted forecasts, but they were saying if you exceed by a certain amount, then there's going to be a surcharge. But also if you don't meet that amount, there's going to be a penalty.
Yeah.
So getting it right for the carriers is essential.
Yeah.
But going from 400 a day to 10,000 a day, I mean, how many trucks is that?
I know, we usually have about 4 or 5 going out a day from our warehouse, so yeah, it's definitely an exciting time. It's definitely thrive, and I think that we're also grateful in January when we get to take a bit of a breath.
A bit of a breath. But when do you then start planning for the next Christmas? How early in the year do you actually?
We usually start planning in April, so we'll start
next week.
Yeah. So what we'll start doing is we've already started thinking about what the range is going to be. So that's like the first thing that gets done. So we look at what last year went well, what didn't go well. We've already actually, I suppose, theoretically, we actually already have started, because the first thing we do after Christmas is do a review to see what went well and what didn't on all areas with us, whether it's sales, ops, IT, so we cover all of that, and we try and make sure that if there's any changes we need to do, that we try and kick those off earlier. And then in terms of the actual planning operation, it starts with the range plan, and we usually complete our forecast in May, and then it pretty much starts from there. So then we start letting supply, because obviously it's huge amounts of stock, so we need to let all of our supply chain know, and then we order, and all the stock comes in September, and then we have to then head to the ground and start packing all of that volume, really, which is exciting.
Yeah. So if you are a corporate and you're going to do a big order, please plan in advance, because people are already ordering for Christmas after next.
Yeah, definitely.
But bespoke hampers are a possibility. But
Yeah.
Hannah, amazing insights. Congratulations on getting such a sustainable business, because I know that is a challenge in itself. Let alone the challenge of handling a peak where you go from 400 parcels a day to 10,000 a day outgoing. So Hannah, thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much.